Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be with you here today. First of all, I would like to personally thank Bill Rosado for his generosity in providing the transportation for our distinguished speaker this evening. He went above and beyond. He went above and beyond to make sure that her and her husband got here safely. And Bill, you are a tremendous business and community leader and the true embodiment of the American dream in action. Thank you. You know, Winston Churchill spoke of the power of free speech. Of all the talents bestowed, he said, none is so precious as the gift of oratory. Those who enjoy it wield the greatest of powers. And Churchill is rightfully credited with saving Western civilization. And he inspired and lifted up to greatness the hopes of freedom-loving people using the power of the spoken word. As has been frequently remarked, he mobilized the English language and sent it into battle, armed with a microphone and the radio airwaves. There are perhaps no greater examples of the power of free speech at work in America than that of a radio broadcaster. The ability to go behind the microphone and speak to thousands, and in this case, millions, utilizing the power of language. In every sense, using the First Amendment to protect all the others. And we are blessed to have with us here today one such iconic broadcaster. In fact, she is one of the most widely listened to radio hosts in the entire world, and she is one of Liberty's boldest voices. She is the #1 female talk host in America. Her radio program, The Dana Show, is on over 230 radio stations nationwide, as well as around the world on American Forces Radio Network. She is ranked number 6 on the Talkers Magazine Heavy 100 list for 2021. And her show can be heard every weekday, noon to 3 p.m. on our station, Wayne Pike News Radio, which broadcasts locally on 102.5 FM and 104.3 FM. Thank you. She is a true triple threat on radio, on television, and as a best-selling author. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom lovers and talk radio fans, I am honored to introduce to you the one, the only, Dana Loesch.
So I'm just gonna have Vince follow me around for the rest of my life and introduce me into every room that I go into from here on out. Y'all are gonna give me a complex. Thank you guys so much for your wonderful hospitality and your amazing weather and your not flat land up here. I mean, I love Texas, but it's a beautiful country. It's actually fall up here. It's beautiful, and this is just perfect. So thank you guys so much, and Bill, and I don't know where Bill is, but God love you, Bill. Where is he at? There he is. Bill, thank you so much. You're hysterical, by the way. Bill is somebody that I'm like, Bill could be our best friend, I think. No, I appreciate y'all's hospitality and everything else. So, as you know, I am Dana Loesch, or I don't know. I could say some of the other names that people call me, but we got kids present. But that's okay. So, this is a weird time, isn't it? This is weird. It feels weird. It feels tense. You can tell it in the air. It's a weird time. And it's not of our choosing that it's weird like this, is it? Not at all. I was thinking about this when we were flying up here, because I love I love not going to New York. No, I mean New York City. From people who are from New York, I'm not like running down your state. Don't get me. But I heard you. I don't like New York City. I don't like Washington D.C. And that's why when everybody thinks or says, "Oh, Dana Loesch, she's in the Beltway," or they have to basically coax me up there with black coffee and steak just to stay for 24 hours, if that. I hate going there. I hate being in those cities. I can't stand it. There's too many damn people. They're too close together. This is why I like dogs. They're the best people. So, thankfully, because of the lockdown, I didn't have any reason to go up there. I could just stay in my house and go down the long commute that is my hallway and do what I need to do. God bless America. But as we were flying up here, and I was just looking out the window, and as we were coming up from Dallas, where I think it's 90 degrees today, and coming up here towards beautiful Pennsylvania, and the trees just kind of started changing a bit. The landscape started changing a bit, and I just thought, I really do love this country. I may hate some of the people in it. I don't mean hate. I may not like them, some of the people. I'll pray for them. But I do love my country. We are so fortunate to live here. I gotta share with you something that Bill said to us on the ride up, and I wish I came up with this by myself. And he's like, there's some things that happen in this country that suck. And sometimes, laws, he's talking about laws or policies that are passed. And he's like, sometimes maybe it sucks, but everybody else sucks more. All the other countries suck more. So that makes you feel better. But freedom, this isn't something that's perpetual. This is not something that's just a guarantee. I mean, there's the saying that freedom's never more than a generation from being lost, and this is never so much true as now. I've been talking with some friends of mine just, over the past 18 months, because of this lockdown and everything else, we've been accelerated into a different state of being that is far removed from the free republic that this country was imagined to be. This is the country that my grandfather, God rest his soul, he was on the USS Alabama for World War II, just shredded his eardrums. He was a gunner. This is the country that people like him fought for. It's the country that people like my friend Marcus Luttrell fought for, Tim Kennedy, Lieutenant Colonel Stu Schiller, Jr., who's sitting in prison right now. Actually, I think he finally was freed because he did disagree with the higher-ups, and I understand the issue of insubordination, but who watches the watchmen? And I'm grateful to live in this country, and I'm grateful to live in a country that is unlike any other. You cannot go to France and be French. You cannot go to Italy and be Italian. You can't go to Spain and be Spanish. But you can come to America, and you can be an American. Simple fact is the reason that this country is so amazing, and what gives us that spark is because we do not unite around an ethnicity. We do not unite around a religion. We unite around freedom. We ask one question: do you want to be free? Be an American. Do you want to live freely? Do you understand that freedom does not mean asking permission? Freedom does not mean having to show papers or a vax pass. Do you want to be free? Then you can be an American. Statists can't understand that because statists have to be united around something that is not liberty. And that is where our power comes from. And it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. You're either a sister or brother in the kingdom, or you're a sister or brother in liberty. Plain and simple. And we are so unique and so fortunate in that. E pluribus unum. It's our motto for a reason. It's on our money for a reason. It was on the founders' tongues for a reason. No other country can claim this strength. It is unlike anything else. And I'm proud of this country, even if I'm not proud of maybe who's running it sometimes. My gosh, am I proud of this country. Do I love it? More than anything. Except, God, my husband, my kids, my dogs. I love my country though too. So, I'm here today for the right of self-defense. Our Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms. I'm pretty straight no chaser when it comes to that. I could sit here and get into all the policy things that I think should be completely torn down, like the ATF and, like the NFA and all that other stuff, but a right abridged is a right denied. A waiting period is a right denied. I don't care if it's hours, I don't care if it's days. So I got to tell you, I had one thing in mind when we were coming up here, and I was telling my husband, because there was just a poo storm yesterday evening, because people found out I was coming here to speak. Even though, I cut liners and we were doing radio advertising and everything else, but whatever. And I had one thing, I had totally different remarks planned for today. But then I got really mad. Wasn't I mad yesterday? My sweet husband, God love him. That man's made of iron and steel and whatever else it takes to put up with me. I was hot last night because I had people in my ear. Well, thank you, baby. I had people in my ear saying, where are you going to speak? We got a call from so-and-so. I had different people that I work with calling me up saying, I heard you were going to the Rod of Freedom. What are you doing? What are you going up there for? Now, I gotta tell you something. I am so anti-authoritarian. I have difficulty following, sometimes just basic instructions. So, the moment that someone says something like this to me, I'm like, this sounds like something I need to be doing. What? It's in your DNA. It doesn't matter if you're born here or you become a citizen. Something happens to you. So I had all these people telling me, Dana, maybe you should rethink about going to this event. Maybe you should rethink about going. Do you know some of the people who are going to be there? Do you know who everybody involved is putting it on? Do you know this? And it kind of took me aback a little bit because, I thought, do you know me? Do you know me? Some of these people know me for years, and I'm like, I'm sorry, have we just met? And it kind of made me mad. And not everybody I work with thinks like I do. And I don't demand that you do, but I just do demand that you be smart and decent and do your job well. And it made me mad, so I yelled at some people yesterday. And I normally am not like that, but it really, really got me hot. And so then, I'm gonna get this out. This is why I brought my phone up here. How many of you, well, I'm not gonna ask. There's a liberal rag out there. Let me just give you an idea of what people were responding to. There were a couple of different status publications that ran an article about this event and all of you people who were coming out to this event. So I decided last night that, hell or high water, I'm going to be here and I'm going to trash this publication. So they got some guy that I never even heard of to try to be the authority, I guess, on the gun industry and Second Amendment. He's out there, he's got a book to sell. I don't know who in the hell this guy is. I don't care. But they needed to find someone so they could appeal to authority. So they were asking this dude about all you people that are coming out here to this event. So far, it's been lovely. I've had a lovely time. I've had some good black coffee. I've talked to some great folks. I've seen some cool guns. It's been a lovely time, lovely American afternoon. So this is this article. They wrote this piece, and they said it's that we're a bunch of extremists, and someone said that they were concerned that I was going to be at this event because I was going to somehow sanction something or other. I don't even know what that means. And I'm just scrolling through this piece, bear with me. And it was ridiculous. This whole article is ridiculous. They said that we're all extremists, we're fascists, it's American fascism that's being developed right before our eyes. This is this piece. The one that concerns me the most is Dana Loesch. She's legitimizing this insanity. This is all these people said. So I'm reading through this trash piece, and I'm like, I don't care what people say about me because I've been insulted by better. Look, my family's from the Ozarks. If we don't have a slap fight or somebody doesn't get whipped out in the front yard during a family reunion, it's not a family reunion. This is how it is. But they were sitting here saying, oh, this is American fascism. This is very concerning. All these people, they're a bunch of nuts and extremists. Let me tell you something. Just like America is America because everybody's united around liberty. A Second Amendment supporter is a Second Amendment supporter because they support the right to keep and bear arms. You will not find, maybe besides now education, you're not going to find one singular issue in policy in this country today like the right of self-defense that has more common ground. I don't care what you believe. Are you out there burning buildings? Are you out there kicking people in the face and murdering people at Chaz Chop? Whatever. What was that in Seattle? Sidebar. What was that? Did y'all see that? There was a bunch of trust fund socialists that thought they were going to form their own community out in the middle of the street, and they tried to farm. They bought a bunch of plants. They didn't even buy the heirloom variety. They bought a bunch of plants that they were going to get seeds from after the season, and they killed them all within the first week. Anyway, I don't see anybody here raging on a campus because they don't like the speaker. Have you all burned down a building so far in the past couple months? No? You haven't burned down no buildings? Have you, you haven't set fire, you haven't committed vandalism because you just were mad and you were out there rioting? No? Okay. Why are you the extremist again? Because I haven't seen any of you out. I didn't see any of you out in Dallas when people were rioting and busting up windows and burning down buildings. I didn't see any of you in Ferguson when people were busting out windows and burning down businesses, many of them black-owned businesses. I didn't see you in Memphis. I didn't see you up in Michigan carrying out destruction. You can't commit injustice to get justice. I didn't see any of you doing that. So why are you the extremists? Why are we the extremists? Because we believe in the rule of law? Because we believe that everyone is equal before the law and everyone is equal underneath the law. When that law is broken, so says this republic. And that makes us extremists? Well, they said the same thing about the founders too. Okay, call me whatever you want. I'll take it. But at least we're not them. We're not them. I'm gonna get mad. I had 3 cups of coffee today, so if I start crawling up on the ceiling like a horror film, just ignore it. It may happen. We saw for 2 years all that destruction take place. No, I'm here for the right of self-defense. That's what you're all here for as well. So I told the people who are in my ear, they were saying, you need to cancel. I had people telling me last night that I should cancel this event. Did I not? That I should not come. And I'm like, why? Give me a good reason. Why? And they couldn't give me a good reason. They're like, oh, well, optics. I'm like, to hell with optics. Are we waiting unless we're talking about like actual optics? I'm like, otherwise, to hell with it. The media is never going to like you no matter what you do. I wish some on our side, especially some of these blockheads that were in my ear, and I did tell them that to their face, so I'm not saying anything bad on the microphone behind their backs. I wish some of those people would realize that the media is never going to accept what you do. They're never going to like you. You could cure cancer, and they're still going to hate you. You could cure the pandemic or whatever. They're still going to hate you. You're never going to do anything to make the media like you because you want to be free. And you don't care who stands shoulder to shoulder with you so long as they want to be free too. I don't care how you worship. I don't care how you eat. I don't care if you're vegan. I don't even care if you think Green Day's punk. It's not. I don't care. Do you want to be free? That is it. That's all I care about. I'll take it even further. We always say that the church is the hospital for those who are spiritually infected. I go to church and it seems like every other day I'm like, Lord, please forgive me for my sassy mouth. I do come by it honest, but please forgive me. But I have to say too, I don't expect people to worship the way I do. I don't care what somebody does in their private life. Unless you're going to be trying to take my firearms, then we're going to have a problem. Be free and defend our right to keep and bear arms. Because I'm telling you what, have you seen Australia lately? I mean, they're actually becoming a penal colony again. I watched someone who was sitting outside. I played this audio on my radio show. Oh, some of it. We couldn't censor enough of it. And I love the accent. I can't do it, otherwise I would try. Some dude was sitting outside on his lunch break eating a kebab. Chicken kebab. And they have like 5 officers that are coming up to him and saying, "Sir, what are you doing out here?" He's sitting with this woman. They wanted to see his vaccination papers. I know, we have statists that love to say, "Show us your papers," and they say that right after they say, "Give us your guns," I want to point out. Yeah. But they ended up throwing this dude to the ground. He did drop his kebab. They threw him to the ground, and they arrested him because he was outside, I guess, eating a kebab without permission. I watched someone else get arrested because they went to go to a cemetery just to pay respects and to have a moment at the grave of a loved one, and they were arrested. This is in Australia. They're totally wrong. But can you imagine for 1 second if something like this, say, happened in southern Missouri, where my family's from? Can you imagine? Or here? There is a reason why people who want to control you do not try these same tactics here. Because they know that there's a resistance, an armed resistance. And that makes some of these statists uncomfortable. I don't care how uncomfortable they are. The Second Amendment was not made just to go and hunt. I'm not worried about deer coming and barging into my house in the middle of the night. Okay? I'm not worried about deer passing laws that are going to strip me of my rights. I mean, that would be a pretty talented deer, and I bet it'd be tasty, but all the same, I'm not worried about it. That's not what I'm worried about. And that's not what our founders had in mind either, obviously. And that's all these people writing this trash. Never ever pay a single bit of attention to this trash that people write about good, honest people like you. These people are garbage. Daily Beast is garbage for writing something like this. And at least pick somebody in the industry that it does seem like a FUD. Come on. So, I said FUD. There's a D there, just in case you were wondering. Did you guys see all that stuff with David Chipman? You guys like him, right? Real honest guy. So I gotta tell you about this. This guy, never met him before, he's the guy that Biden wanted to have as his ATF director, a department funded unnecessarily by our tax dollars, taxation is theft, and to regulate our firearms, and they're all corrupt. But this guy was making up all kinds of stories. He was on Reddit doing an AMA that's Ask Me Anything. He was talking about how, like in Waco, people were shooting down helicopters. That didn't happen. He compared Second Amendment people to Tiger King. Basically that they're all just a bunch of rednecks and hillbillies. And I'm like, well, can I just ask, who do you think built the country, by the way, while you're all disparaging rednecks and hillbillies? This guy, David Chipman, who worked for a gun control group before he was going to go and take over the ATF. This is a guy who wanted They always say, oh, we want to ban assault weapons, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard from people who would not know a gun from a hole in the ground. A made-up term to be the doorway to ban all arms, as you know. Start with semi-automatic rifles. I'm not going to get into all the statistics. I could. Bottom line, this guy was defeated because people like you pushed back. You spoke up. Now if we can just do the same for the whole damn department, the whole agency, that would be fantastic. That's not extremist. The extremists are the people who want to take your lawfully owned property. The extremists are the people who want to take from you your right of self-defense. We have all these discussions. I know that Dr. John Lott is here and a bunch of awesome people. Gabby Franco, who's she's a competitive shooter. She just moved to Virginia. She's like little Miss Annie Oakley, little short shot. The extremists are the people who want to deprive us of our ability to be the check and balance in this republic. That's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to talk about. You know, to sit here and say that and having the right to keep and bear arms, that it's a scary thing to remind everyone to what that Second Amendment actually is for, that's not extremist. That's to the spirit of the law. That is to the spirit of the founding. That is to the very spirit of what the founders intended. I'm glad that certain things were stopped, but there's some bad policy that's still coming through. We had the NDAA, the military act, where they're now trying to enact gun control on vets. So they're good enough to go and sacrifice their lives overseas, but they ain't good enough to be able to carry a firearm here in the United States? I keep telling my husband, that's a saying that I have, I'm like, look, I said on my radio show a couple weeks ago, I'm not even a big into political parties. I am of the party, leave me alone. I'm not going to tell you what my slogan is. It has an acronym. I'm the leave me alone party. I want to be left alone. I want to do my thing. I want to live my life. I want to raise my kids. I want to enjoy my friends and my family and my beautiful country, and I want to be left alone. That's all I want in life. I always have this politician and that politician coming up to me. Would you endorse? And I rarely endorse because and no offense, I know we got some politicians here and I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just like, okay, you're running to be a potential employee. Or a potential employee, I got that. But I'm not here to be friends with politicians. I could give a rat's ass. I'm not here to be friends with politicians. I'm here to live my life. And who leaves me alone the most? How much can you leave me alone? Can you leave me alone more than he can leave me alone? Because that's how I judge this. Leave me alone. If it's not in Article 1, Section 8, you don't need to do it. That's it. We have enumerated powers for a reason. Leave me alone. And I tell my husband every day, I'm like, I feel like they're trying to leave us less and less alone. And now we have everything from the DOJ going after parents, the FBI who thinks that anybody that may own a MAGA hat in the military is suspect. There's some kooky stuff happening. Leave us alone. Leave us alone. We do our jobs, we put in our time, and we go home. That's one thing you can count on people like us to do. We do what needs to be done. We don't care what anybody else believes, except if you want to be free, we do our jobs and we go home to our families. Leave us alone. Over and over again. I told my husband last week, I said, I hope and I pray that we never come to a time where people who want to be left alone are prevented from being left alone. Because that would be a bad time for the people who don't want to leave those people alone. I'm just the messenger. I'm just speaking some facts. That's all. We just want to be left alone. Leave alone party. But they think that's extreme. Wanting to be left alone is extreme. So I'll end with this. I do talk radio 3 hours a day every day. I could sit up here and talk to you all for a week straight and probably more. I just like talking to people. As much as I want to be left alone, I love talking to people. I want to be left alone by the government. How about you guys? I don't need the government in my bank account monitoring transactions that are over $600. Is that not a background registry or what? Because a lot of my guns are over $600. Who keeps records of that? Do you believe Janet Yellen when she's up there and she says no one's going to have that information? Really? Just like 15 days to slow the spread, right? We're supposed to believe you again? No, that ain't how that works, Janet. Not how that works. By the way, sidebar, can we replace Karen with Janet? Instead of saying don't be a Karen, can we say don't be a Janet? Just thinking about that. Only because I have some family that are named that and they complain every time I say it. So like I said, this has been a real pleasure, a real treat for us to come up here and spend time with you all. See the Kahr Arms back there, look and see everything that they do, their whole operation. You know, I think anybody who actually got out of New York or DC or LA, if they actually came here, broke bread with you all, spent time with you, I think that they would see that they have far more in common with you than they are led to believe by our propaganda media. So I'll tell you with this. I like being a happy warrior. Ridicule is a virtue. I love being a happy warrior. I love having fun. And I love fellowshipping with good people. You're not extremists, you're Americans. We all are. We're Americans who want to be left alone. The leave alone party. And like I said, I pray because I know that people are like, Dana Loesch is inciting. I'm not inciting anything. Show me a building I burned down. It didn't happen. I want to be left alone. You want to be left alone. The government needs to stop. And I pray that this never happens in our day or our children's day or our grandchildren's day or our great-grandchildren's day. But the time, if it hopefully never will, the time that it would come where we are not left alone, may God have mercy because I won't. Thank you all very much.